think Huel and Badger are going to team up.
Yeah.
To take on everybody.
Happy ending. It's going to have a happy ending.
How?
I don't know.
Heisenbrow.
Greetings, everyone. Today is a special Pop Culture Clash bonus episode where we'll be taking a look back and taking a look into the possible future of Breaking Bad.
Spoilers, bitch!
That kind of worked.
That was pretty good.
Today on the panel, we are joined, of course, by the infamous Bobby Heisenburns.
Hello, everyone. This is not going to last very long, so if you see me later on in the...
It's the chemo.
It's the chemo. And also, I am not wearing pants, just tighty-whities. Just thought I'd let you know.
Excellent.
It's true.
Also with us is Ian Hinkman.
What's up, bitch?
And I, of course, wanted to be Skylar, but that didn't work out. So I'm kind of Hank, as dressed by Marie.
Because it's purple.
Hey, very good. All right. Okay, let's get on with it. 5 seasons, 5 full seasons,
5 seasons.
in toto, even though the 5th one was broken down in half. Let's take a look back at the season. So, Heisenburns, start us off. What's now a little background here. You have watched the entire series
3 times now. 3 times. So the initial pass,
Right.
and then my girlfriend, she, for some reason, did not want to watch it with me the initial time. I was spending so much time watching it. So
Sorry, I'm just counting to see how many seconds until
it's coming off right
yeah,
here a little bit.
Yeah.
So she was anti at first, but then she's like, okay, I need to get into this.
Right.
Watch it with her again. And then they had the whole lead up to the start of 5B.
Right.
And I figured, why not watch it one more time? Get
Right.
ready for
Why not?
why not? So
You
yeah,
only live a finite amount of time.
this is true.
Why not spend most of that time
Watching
rewatching
Breaking
Breaking Bad? If you could pick 2 episodes, that would be your favorite of the. How many are there in total? Now?
60 something, 64,
So
63.
they can't get
That's-
syndicated.
Yeah, well, no, they're just going to make a fortune off of iTunes.
Right.
So
I can't take a drink either, by the way.
A couple. Well, I guess apparently you're just going to dehydrate to death unfriendly on camera. So
Just like the 4 Days Out episode where Jesse poured out the last
water,
of their
yeah.
water
Right.
when the generator blew up.
Yeah.
somebody
So
knows their stuff.
what'd you say favorite?
Give us a couple of
This
your.
is just not happening.
All right, couple
Sorry.
highlight episodes.
Highlight episodes. 2 of them for me were Fly and Ozymandias, both directed by
Ryan Johnson.
Ryan Johnson.
And
I think
written by the same woman.
right.
Yes.
Well, Fly was, I think, co-written.
Yeah, correct.
Fly is just incredible to me. I think I liked most in the series where it was just him, Walt, and Jesse.
Right. The Walt
Kind
and
of
Jesse relationship.
Their whole relationship, and for that episode, it was primarily just them
Sure.
the entire time inside that lab. Walt is losing his mind, and for the first time, it's Walt losing his mind and not Jesse.
Right.
Jesse's kind of the sane one of
Right.
this episode, and there's this contaminant, of course, in the lab, this North African fly, I think it is, that Walt is obsessing about.
My favorite moment of that episode was when I was like, is he going to tell him about Jane? Because he looks up at it and you think he's going to say, like,
Yes.
I watched
He
Jane
says, "I'm
die."
sorry."
Yeah.
He says, he's taken some sleeping pills or something
Right.
at that point, and he's
Right.
slowly fading away.
Yeah.
And he's rambling on, and during that whole ramble, he says a couple of really poignant things. I think he says something to the point of, he's thinking back to the one moment that he wished he would have just passed away. It was the moment where I think he was in his house before he left that evening to go buy the diapers for Skylar, for the baby, and he's out and about, and he, of course, goes and that's where he goes to Jesse's place, and he watches Jane die.
Right.
Yeah.
But the lullaby that plays right before he left, that's the moment where he wishes he would just have kind of passed away. That would have been perfect for him.
Right.
But he goes out and,
Doesn't.
Yeah. And then Ozymandias, of course. I didn't sit down the entire episode.
No. Yeah.
I'm not joking, I stood the entire time behind my couch. I could not sit down. I was just pacing back and forth. It was just so intense.
Yeah, it is the tightest. But I mean, they plug so much plot and story into that one episode, into 42 minutes of television. Is insane.
That's my favorite thing about the show is that every time, like, when 5B started, like, most shows would have dealt with, like, the Hank
pursuing
about it. Yeah.
Heisenberg,
like,
right?
That would have come to a
pursuing
head,
Walt,
like,
right.
in the last episode or two.
Right. You thought it was going to be just
And, like,
a hunt the hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Episode 1, they're just like confront each other as bananas.
Yeah. Yeah. It's if anything, the show has been incredibly unpredictable. I mean, that's kind of when coming up to this final episode, everybody's throwing out their ideas on what's going to happen, but really, you can't say. I mean, it doesn't. It doesn't matter what we hypothesize about it. Odds are it's going to be wrong. They're going to pull something completely else out of their ass to throw at us, and we will gladly accept it because that's what we do.
Yeah. Another reason why I love that episode was how it began. It's kind of a flashback sequence to them on their first cook.
Yep.
And, they flash back to, they're in the desert. And you kind of remember how kind of whimsical and fun the series used to be.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been so dark lately. You kind of get a flashback to Jesse's like in the background doing like a sword fight with a stick,
right.
while Walt is on the phone telling Skylar that
practicing how to lie.
Learning how to lie.
Yeah.
And,
well, at the time, it was the learning how to cook. It was that first, and it was at the time it was only going to be a cook, right? They were only going to do a couple times, and done and out. He would have his treatments paid for.
Yeah, he just wanted to get enough.
Jesse would have a couple extra bucks.
Yep.
Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Except for even the people on meth. Yeah, I guess they'd be happy, right? Temporarily. Yeah, their issues would be soothed.
Yeah, then dissolve into that brutal gun battle.
Yeah.
Where
which was awesome.
Gomi is laying there dead.
Yeah, right off the bat on that episode, as a matter of fact. It's like they don't even show. He's just dead.
No, he's
That's
just
it.
dead.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad they finally hit someone with those bullets. It took
they
them
were
long
firing
enough.
fucking everything in sight.
I can talk about the rest of the episode.
Sure.
But
So,
that's
Hankman, couple of episodes you like?
I think my favorite episode has got to be Crawl Space 411, I think. It's the one where he's laughing in the crawl space under the house. I think that one's Crawl Space.
Yeah.
But to me, like, I got to take this moment to say, fuck you, AMC, because I was behind, and I was, like, minding my own business watching Aliens on AMC, and then I see, like, a promo, and it's a door in a hallway, and then it explodes, and then someone walks out, and it's Gus Fring, who I had just met in my watch-through, and then his face is gone, and they showed it. And I was like, I literally just met this character, and AMC spoiled it right off the bat.
Right.
But it's a testament to the show and how good it is that, like, I was like you in 411. I was, like, pacing around and, like, yelling at things at the TV and, like,
well, he's also so
out.
calm and collected, I think, at the start of that episode.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he's just
lost his marbles.
Lost his mind underneath the house.
Right.
One moment I loved, too, in a recent episode, I think it was the one where Jesse had put gas everywhere and he made up that lie about the pumps or whatever.
Yeah.
I loved that when they were in the hotel that he actually just told her the truth.
Right.
Because, like, that's what I kept waiting for, like, to him to just stop lying to everyone and just say, like, ugh, fuck it. He's trying to, Anyway, what's your favorite episode?
And the one that's spoiled for you, it's the death of Gus Fring.
Face Off?
Yeah, is that what
Face
the
Off,
episode
yeah.
I think
was?
it's called
Face Off?
Face
Of course
Off.
it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
His
Up until
face.
that point, we have because we had seen Walter take on a bevy of bad guys by that point in time. I mean, he'd taken on local street dealers and everything else like that, kind of before he kind of got involved with Gus Fring.
Right.
And Gus, brilliantly played by Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
just
good.
like an amazing performance by Giancarlo Esposito all the way through. Proved to be his match. It was finally that chess game that started that kind of kicked in.
And it was like the cool thing is it's like he's the good version of Heisenberg. He's like, here's how you run a meth empire while still being a decent
guy.
being.
Yeah,
mostly.
Yeah, well, yeah. You're
you still gotta bust some eggs.
You're well. Not only that, but it's like he gave back to it's like he gave back to the society and stuff like that. Yeah. He was like he was just a incredibly diametrically opposed type of character. It's like even though on one side he was this, he was completely supporting the other side as well.
Right.
He was Fring was just a fascinating character, and that entire episode, kind of trying to figure out how he was going to take him down because he'd failed a couple times in that episode or the episode before.
I think it was in that episode. I'm not sure. I know that they had the car.
Because it's like you've even got the Fring moment where it's almost like he's got his weird spidey sense to know not to go to the car.
Right.
right?
Right, because
And that was the episode before, I believe.
yeah, that was the whole Brock was poisoned,
Right.
and Walt was trying to get Jesse back on his side, and
Right.
he's convincing him.
And
That-
Walt's
yeah.
hands are really getting dirty by this point in time.
Right.
I mean, he's been, because a lot of the things he had done beforehand were almost heroic in a slight way. You know, he saved Jesse's life a couple times. I mean, he was doing things to keep his motivations moving forward, but also there was still kind of a little bit of a humanism to him. Now all of a sudden he is poisoning kids and he's getting ready to blow people up, and you know he's really getting his hands dirty by this.
I mean,
point
he's
in time.
doing all of this. He doesn't care about Jesse, really. I mean, you think he does, but
Right.
I don't. I think he at this point it's just.
You think so? Do you really do you think he's never really cared about Jesse?
I don't
Ever?
know. I think he.
I think he cares about Jesse almost as much as his
I
own
think
family.
deep down though, everything that he did was for his own personal gain.
Sure.
Oh yeah, of course. But I don't know. But there's still that part of me that's, and maybe it's just me wanting to believe that somewhere deep inside him, there's a little bit of humanity that genuinely does give a shit about Jesse.
I think Walt did. I don't know about
Heisenberg, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
there's.
oh, yeah.
I don't know.
And
Also,
almost
going
think-
back to real quick, going back to the Fly episode.
Yeah.
During the episode, it's brought up the fact that Jesse's aunt, of course, had cancer, and he starts talking about how he was watching over, and she slowly started to go a little bit
Right.
crazy,
Batty, yeah.
batty, obsessive with an opossum that was underneath the house.
Right.
And at that point, Walt is also obsessed with this fly.
Fly, yeah.
So, Jesse's whole thing is like the cancer is kind of spread to my aunt's brain.
Right.
And we don't know if that's actually what's happening to
Walt,
Walt.
sure.
Right.
But, maybe that's a part of why he is doing a lot of the things that he ends up doing. It's taken over, and this whole Heisenberg character has come from deep within.
Sure.
He's awakened, and that whole story. But I don't know. I think going back to my point, I think he does care about Walt does care about Jesse, but I'm not sure Heisenberg does.
Right.
It's just whatever
You
he's
could-
got to
you
do
could
to.
make an argument that even like money for his family is just like hit the excuse he tells himself, because I think really hubris is his whole thing. Like he wants, because Elliot got an empire,
Yeah.
and he didn't get an empire.
He's very ego driven. It's
Yeah.
and I think I'd mentioned this before is that Walt's character starts off the show incredibly emasculated. At work, even at work, at home, everything else. I mean, on his birthday, he the best he can get is a hand job from his wife. In bed. I mean, it's like and even that's just kind of she's not even caring or paying attention. She's reading a magazine, watching TV while doing it.
Yeah,
Something,
right.
Something very bizarre. That was her audition, by the way.
Oh yeah.
If you ever saw the audition
Yeah,
tapes
yeah.
on one of the
Oh,
DVDs,
yeah,
yeah.
Good. She's just like whatever.
So here we have a character who starts off anything but a man anymore. He's lost, the potential future that he could have had. We see relatively quickly that he gave up on, and all of a sudden he stumbles into something. Literally, by the way, Jesse jumps out of a fucking window from a house, right? Stumbles into this kind of way of using his intelligence, using the strongest parts about him to
Yeah.
kind of start regaining his masculinity.
Right.
And that kind of starts taking over. That becomes the driving force in his existence, and using family as an excuse and everything else like that to really kind of, because a man, of course, is in control of his family. He's able to maintain, to take care of and make sure everybody's well provided for and safe. And that becomes really his driving force, is to do all these things that almost seem like the masculine checklist
Yeah.
of things that you have to do
Well,
with your
and-
life
and,
to be a
like,
male.
And that's why Elliot is he's so jealous of him because he is the man that he always wants to be. He
be,
can
right.
provide with his family
Yep.
using his brain,
Yep.
and he's married to the woman that Walt I think was obviously in love with.
He was, yeah.
And that's why the 5B. I don't think they started doing it in the end of 5A, but Walter and Skylar are wearing all beige,
Right.
like they
Yeah.
always did.
It's once they had the car wash, and they were kind of simulating the same life that Gretchen and Elliot
Yeah.
were living.
When they were on Charlie Rose, though, weren't they both wearing black? And they were talking about how Walter White is dead, and Heisenberg is all that's left.
Yeah, but everybody wears black on Charlie Rose.
Right.
Just matches
Because you have to
the set.
blend into
Yeah.
the background.
Yeah.
Background, yeah. For some reason, you have to be a floating head on Charlie Rose. That's
Right.
the way that show works.